Hi everyone, my name is James Feeney. Welcome to or back to my channel. Today we are here, as all of this setup may show, and the title, to trim my larger Thoth deck. I want to, I believe, trim it down to just the images, and so we're going to be attempting that today. This is actually my first time trimming a deck, so this should be interesting, so you guys will really see it firsthand. I've never done this before, but I did take some measures to be really prepared. So I got this really nice paper cutter. Thankfully, I have a corner rounder, I have some inks for edging, and you will see that we have some Peppa Pig stickers here. Really what this is for is, well, okay, I will tell you guys that I watch a lot of Thoth Tarot. I love watching her trim decks, and so a lot of what this setup is inspired by is her and the things that she uses. And I like to think I've seen enough to be able to do this pretty well and effectively by myself, but I also think that Dawn Michelle makes it look really easy when in actuality I think it's going to be a lot tougher. And so she has like a sort of protractor type ruler that she puts as a guideline to put the cards against, so she gets the exact same measurement every time. And I don't have something like that, so I'm actually going to use this Peppa Pig sticker book as a flat edge to put cards up against so I get the proper measurement. And we'll see how that works. It's a straight edge on all sides, so I think it should work pretty well. And this paper cutter, I've tried it, I've tested it, it's pretty good. So I am hoping that this is going to come together really, really smoothly. We'll see. And I actually I tried to film this or was excited to do this a bit earlier in the week, or even last week, but I got a paper cutter. I ordered this online, and this is the second paper cutter that I got because I ordered this one. And if you see this on Amazon, I don't recommend it. I'm in the process of returning it. I just have to drop it off at a UPS store, which during these times is not the easiest, but I'm returning it. And this paper cutter specifically does not cut very straight. It's made to be portable, so it has this nice magnetic sort of measure. And this thing right here, in order to cut, you have to move it like that and go like that, and then it can cut. However, that means that you can kind of probably guess that moving something like this is not good for a straight edge paper cutter. And so it wasn't cutting in straight lines. It wasn't even cutting diagonal. It was really cutting in this, it was cutting in almost like a swoop pattern. And like from one edge it would swoop and then it would come to the other edge. And so nothing that it cut would lay flat on a surface. And so that wasn't working for me, and it just seemed like a waste of money. So I returned to that, and I just need to drop it off. But I ordered this one, and it seems to be really nice, and I'm excited about it, and all the things I'll be able to do in the future with it. So without further ado, we'll get into it. Now this is a card that I test trimmed, and I actually test trimmed it on the other paper cutter. So it actually doesn't look too bad once I rounded the corners. It's not going to show up as well on camera, but the edges are a bit rough, and it does have, you can kind of see a rough corner here. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure. I don't think it's showing up, but it does kind of have that swoop edge. It doesn't lay flat on any of the sides. When you put it on a surface, it's not quite flat. And so yeah, this is like the test card. And I also pretty much took the other sample card in the deck and shredded it to bits practicing on it. So yeah, so now we're here just with the base deck, and we're going to get started on that. And as far as the colors for edging, I got this pack of these distressed inks, which seem, from what I've seen on Thoth Tarot, Dawn Michelle's channel, seem to be really quality and good, and I like the way the colors turn out that she uses from these pads. So I'm thinking I'm going to do the antique linen one, and if I don't like it, I figure it's the lightest shade, and so then if I go over it with any of the darker ones, they'll just cover it up and it'll be like a layered sort of thing. So that's what I'm thinking. Okay, let's do this. So I think first we need to measure this out. And so we should definitely do it on this side because we are trying to get rid of all of the edges on this side, and that's what's important. And I've seen this trimmed down to the imagery before, and I know that on the back it actually turns out pretty well. The cross remains intact, and none of that bothers me. It actually, I think, is well suited for that trim specifically. So I've tested this paper cutter and know that the edge that the card hangs off of is exactly where the cutter cuts, so to speak. And so I'm trying to look right over it and get a good idea of where that would be. This is more difficult than it looks, guys. Wait, I should probably get more stickers out. So that should be good. Okay, so we still have a little bit of an edge with that measurement on the image, and so I think I'm going to take it a bit closer. Oh, I didn't really think about how well these would like stick onto the surface, and if they would be difficult to get off. Ah, I ripped his nose off. Sorry. Sorry, pig. And so we took a bit more off. And we still have the slightest border. And it's also not quite even. And I'm not sure if that's my doing or that will bother me if it's not quite even. It might be that this Peppa Pig thing is not... this Peppa Pig thing, I think we're gonna have to reevaluate here. And I don't like how it's sticking on here. Ugh. Guys. Thoth Tarot makes this look so easy. Okay, I will be back. Okay, everybody, I'm back. Couldn't find like a sort of like protractor type thing, but I got this ruler and I got some tape. And tape will hopefully will work better than Peppa Pig, so sorry to Peppa Pig, but she's out. So let's see how we would do this. Ugh. See, like this is not, this surface up here, this flat surface up here doesn't feel like long enough for me to get a good gauge of if it's actually straight. The struggles, everyone. Now we're gonna try again. Okay, so we trimmed off like the smallest thing ever. Hopefully you can see my arm's not just like blocking all of this. We shall see. Now let's take a look at how she went. Alright, I do like this better. It's still like slightly at an angle. Maybe I can kind of counteract that by doing the same thing but on this side. Let's see. I think that helped. I honestly can't tell. Like the slightest thing came off, but it also left like a weird little, I don't know what. I mean, it seems good. I'm pretty happy with that. I guess that's, yeah. I mean, we can't exactly add. I might have like wanted like 0.5 millimeter more, but I'm not unhappy with it, and so we will go with that. And so I will, let's see, let's test it on a new card. Got our sort of measurement perfectly aligned. Honestly, that one came out better. I like how this one came out more. As I'm like not even showing you guys anything. This is difficult, this camera angle. But I like how this one came out. I think the second one like was just smoother because we weren't readjusting. So I'm gonna do all of these and then I will come back. Or maybe we can do like a fun little like fast forward through doing all of them, who knows. Okay, so we did the first side. The edges are extremely uniform and straight, or at least, yeah, that edge is. And I am loving it so far. I'm realizing that I never really explain my rationality behind wanting to trim this deck. I'm somebody who doesn't usually like to modify my decks. This will actually only be, it's the first deck I'm trimming and it's the third deck that I'm edging. So I don't even normally edge decks. And I love watching others do it. So like I love watching Thoth Tarot and Don Michelle do it. I love seeing other people's modifications, but I don't usually go for it or feel compelled to modify decks personally. However, with this one, now I have, and I'm gonna sound like I'm bragging and I don't mean to, but I have the greenie, so the old vintage version of the Thoth deck, which is the same size as the larger version. And I like to use the Thoth Tarot for client readings, and I use the smaller deck because I can do larger spreads with that, but I'd love to be able to have bigger images, but cards of a similar size to the small version, so that I can do larger spreads, but with larger spreads with cards, and then have more imagery compared to the small cards where the image is condensed. And so that's part of the reason. Another reason is that there is the keywords in Thoth Tarot, and while I like the keywords and appreciate them, I do find that in readings with clients, especially in-person readings, certain cards will evoke reactions in clients, and I don't particularly like that. I feel like I have to spend time kind of talking them down and explaining to them that, say, defeat doesn't necessarily, it doesn't have to mean something bad. Like, my readings are, it could mean so many different things in the context of a reading, and the keyword is usually not very indicative of what the meaning is going to be within the reading. And so I have to almost qualify the cards so much because of the word in it and because of the reaction that some cards get. And it would be so much easier for me if I just knew the keyword, which I do, and then spoke on the card as I interpret it within a reading, as opposed to having a client maybe get worried needlessly or start to have these preconceived notions that aren't going to end up being the case, which I don't find helpful for them or me, and then it takes time to explain away the key word, for example, and then they still have it in their head anyway, and it kind of influences how the reading goes. So those are my reasons for wanting to trim this. Not that there needs to be a reason to trim a deck. It can be an aesthetic experience, but I find that that's part of what pushed me to do this. And under normal circumstances, I like the deck as it is, and I'm not one to trim or edge decks without, for example, something that feels like a utilitarian sort of reason. That's just me personally, but I love that other people trim and modify decks for all sorts of reasons, and I love to see how they turn out. So that's my rationality here. We're going to get into trimming the other side, so we're going to do the bottom portion now. Oh, and my phone has low battery. How lovely. Okay, so yeah, I don't know, I wasn't really looking in the viewfinder to see how well I was holding things in frame, so hopefully that was all visible, my hands moving around, not that it was all that important to see that, but, so let us... Subscribe if you're going insane with me. Okay. Okay, that was like perfect, yay. We did it, y'all. Look at that. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Also, be more careful to me. There was like one part where I accidentally slid my hand underneath for like a second and I got a little cut on my finger, and that's not fun. Alright, now we can do this whole thing, and we should probably tape it a bit more and go absolutely insane with the tape again. Okay guys, I'm back. I plugged my phone in while we were trimming off that other part just because it was going to die. So as you can see, we have both the top and the bottom taken off. I went back and tried to make some of them more even, so that way it would be more uniform and hopefully easier to shuffle. I did try already to give it a shuffle as it was, and it did seem to work. Not like as amazingly as I would think a machine cut deck would, but it riffles and bridges, which is really what I was hoping to get out of trimming a deck this precisely. And so it does that. And since the top and the bottom are already done, those measurements are kind of like there. So that it's not that the sides aren't important, but those aren't going to affect the shuffling really. And so they're about looking nice. So I'm gonna make them as exact as possible, but really it was the top and the bottom that needed to be precise for shuffling purposes. And I'm enjoying how it's turning out so far. And so we will move on to doing the side portions. And I think that that was actually our best first try yet. Yeah, that was like right on the money. So I'm very pleased with that, and we will go ahead with that measurement and just tape it down a bit more. Wow, alright guys, so we're down to one side, time to do that. Okay, so I think that's going to be the measurement for that. It worked pretty well. Okay guys, so we've got it down to just the imagery, so the trimming aspect is all done. I'm really pleased with how it's gone and how even it all turned out on all, like when I lay it down on the surface, they all seem to be pretty much the same length. I went through and if anything was sticking out to the tiniest bit, and I fixed that. So now we're going to just round the corners. And so I have this corner rounder, and you have the option for a small, medium, as I'm not holding in the small, medium, or large corner, and I'm thinking for these that I want the small corner just because I'd rather be a bit kind of a tight, sharper corner. So I'll show you how that looks. And so I'm pretty pleased with how that looks. So I'm gonna do all of the cards and then I will come on back and show you how that looks. Alright guys, so I'm back. We fully rounded all of the corners and it looks amazing. These are how the backs look. And I will shuffle it for you guys. It shuffles perfectly, which is what and so I am quite happy with that. You can see laying out a few cards. They just look so great together without the borders, and I am quite happy with the results. So now we are on to the edging process, and that's one that I won't really be showing you so much. But I'm thinking we're going to do... I was really dead set on the antique linen at the start, but now that we're here, I'm feeling almost like I want to do the walnut color a bit more, just because of the backs and the deep browns that we see, and I think that potentially that might work better and show up and kind of really add to the feeling of the deck. I'm not sure how I'm feeling about it though. Okay, I'm gonna edge the deck in one of those two colors and I'm gonna come back and it'll be a nice little surprise, but it'll only be like 2 seconds for you guys, so it's not like you'll be hanging in suspense. Okay, I'll be back. Alright guys, so we have edged the deck. I did go for that darker, here let me get the actual ink so you guys can see, in case you are curious. This is the walnut stain, so I think that suits the backs a bit better with the deeper brown hues that go on. I like it personally. It's not perfect. I do need to probably do a second coat. And there's, I wouldn't say like a lot of bleed, but it creates this ever so slight on some of the cards. It's so minimal though. It doesn't bother me personally. But I think I'll end up doing a second coat. Either that or I'll go over it with the antique linen, and hopefully maybe that'll add like a sort of warmth to it and cover up the white spots in a way that isn't so, I don't know, it might add a cool effect. So if I do that, I'll be sure to update in some video at some point. But that brings us to the end. The deck is fully trimmed and I think it turned out pretty well. So let me know what you guys thought, and if you have trimmed your own Thoth decks and in what way and how you went about it. So hope you're all well. Until next time, oh, like and subscribe if you enjoyed this also. Bye everyone.